Welcome back to the weekend with me, Dawn Neeson. Thank you so much for your company this Saturday afternoon. Really enjoying chatting to you all, so keep those messages coming in. Now, residents in Crowborough have been lining the streets this morning to protest against the government's plans to temporarily house asylum seekers in a local training camp. Wealdon District Council called on the Home Office to reverse the plans, claiming it had totally failed to engage with the community or provide assurances around safeguarding for both asylum seekers and residents. Well, this, of course, comes as there are reports this morning to suggest that Home Secretary Shabana Mahmood is set to announce a huge shake-up, yes, another one, of the immigration system based on Denmark's rules. And okay, so let's go to Crowborough, where GB News national reporter Jack Carson is on the ground talking to the residents about their reaction. Jack, what's happening?
Well, of course, we saw earlier, Dawn, those pictures, and we were with them on part of that march as well. Well over 1,000 people marching through Crowborough from where they initially started protesting here outside the entrance to the training camp, which from the end of November, the Home Office planning to move 90 people a week in here. So it gets well above to the 600 figure, of course, just in time for the new year. But local residents here really making their voices heard at their anger and frustration at this. Let's talk to Simon, who's a local resident. Thanks again for joining us. Of course, we spoke to you a couple of weeks ago now when this news broke. So in that time, you've been to one of the residents' meetings as well. Yeah. Kind of where do you feel, as a local resident, you are here in all of this process?
Well, I think when we spoke, which was about 10 days ago when the news broke, and the first question you asked me was how did I feel? And I said very worried. And I have to say, from what I've heard and what I've seen over the last 10 days, I've gone from worried to scared. I'm genuinely scared. I spoke to a gentleman who had made his way from Copthorne, which is another town on the other side of Sussex, about an hour's drive. And he lives very close to a migrant hotel there where there are 150 migrants housed. And he was telling me stories which just literally genuinely scared me. And we're talking about 600 young men literally living a couple of hundred yards down the road. The meeting, we went to the meeting in the town hall, and the general, the feeling was scared people. This is not political. This is not racist. This is people. It's going to tear the community apart, and it already has. You could see that in the demonstration this morning. It's going to change the fabric of the community. It's a sleepy Sussex town. We have no police presence here, haven't had for years. And we saw more police here today than we've seen in the last 5 years. So, yeah, really scared.
And we've got a scrutiny meeting where there are going to be officials for residents to question, to try and get some answers from. Yeah. I mean, they say that this is only going to be for 12 months. This is a temporary measure to move people into this. Yeah. Is there trust that this is only going to be temporary?
No, and that's the problem. We've lost trust in the local government. Look, if it was a temporary situation, in 12 months' time, it was all going to be taken away, we could possibly live with that. But we know that's not going to be the case. It's going to be temporary to start. And everything that we've heard is there are going to be movements to make it a permanent processing centre, and that's an incredibly sad situation that we're in for the local community.
Now, you've mentioned there how scared you now feel. Yeah. You've gone from worried to scared. Yeah. I mean, what are people around here? What are you thinking about security? Because you live here literally on the back of the camp. So are you concerned around security going forward? Yeah, very. In fact, there's a road just up there, Fieldon Road, where I know that the residents are already talking to private security firms. So they're talking about employing a private security firm. We've just had the same conversation with our neighbours to look at that because we know the police presence isn't going to increase, and there's going to be 600 bored young men with nothing to do, with no money, and we've got to take things into our own hands. If we don't, we're at risk of being either having our property damaged or physically damaged. We've got to do something about it ourselves. We spoke last time about considerations that you were looking to sell, given your own circumstances with family members growing up and your kids moving out. Yeah. I mean, is that still something you're looking at?
We can't. Our house, We're in the property industry. We know a lot of estate agents. I was speaking to a local estate agent a couple of days ago, and I know him. I've known him for a number of years. He sold the house we're in to us, and he said, "Simon, I hate to say this, but your house is worthless." I mean, that's the reality that we're in. We're in that house for the rest of our lives. And don't get me wrong, it's a nice house, but that's where we are. And unfortunately, I can't see that changing. Even if it was a temporary situation, but the damage has almost been done, because people are going to look at Crowborough in a completely different light from now on.
Simon, thanks so much for joining us and giving us your thoughts once again. Simon, of course, lives just right near this migrant camp, or what was planned to be a migrant camp. You just hear those concerns that Simon talking about, concerns which have been reflected to us all day here. There's a lot of people worried about exactly the impact on this community if these asylum seekers are to be moved here, planned to by the end of this month.
Jack, just quickly, you know what I find remarkably upsetting about the whole story? It's not just that people are obviously frightened, but everybody you've interviewed for us today has said, "I'm not being racist." And of course you're not being racist. No one in their right mind would accuse you of being racist. But the fact they have to try and point out that we're not racist, it's so sad that people have to start off by saying that. And you're just genuine residents concerned about what's happening to your area with, as we say, 600 undocumented young men free to roam that village.
Well, certainly, and people feel that if they say anything like that, they are immediately going to be tarnished with a brush. And as you just heard from Simon, these are genuine concerns. The signs and the banners that we saw here at the protest today were about protecting women and children in the area. Those people, and we spoke to plenty of women today who are scared about their safety with the fact that people who will be housed here will be allowed to roam free, not knowing in their opinions who those people are. Those are valid concerns for those people. And of course, we've seen in the news reports of what has happened around asylum hotels all around the country. I've been in court cases covering some of those. So we've seen the impact that there can be. And so they are genuine concerns. But people, of course, feel like they have to lead with that phrase, Dawn, because they feel like they're going to be tarnished with a brush otherwise.
Of course, it's incredibly sad. GB News national reporter Jack Carson. Jack, thank you very much, doing a sterling job down there for us. We have been assured, by the way, that the residents, as they're being called, that will be housed at this former MOD training base will be given training on antisocial behaviour. Well, let's hope that works, shall we? Now, a spokesperson for the Home Office said, "We are furious at the level of illegal migrants and asylum hotels. This government will close every asylum hotel. Work is well underway with more suitable sites being brought forward to ease pressure on communities. We are working closely with local authorities, property partners and across the government so that we can accelerate delivery." I know I'm not meant to comment on this. Well, here's a thought. Why not you just try stopping the blooming boats? That would sort it, wouldn't it?